What movie is a 0/10? Mean Girls 2. Till there's a Mean Girls 2. Yep. I hoped it would be something like The Plastics and Katie Adjusting to College. Nope. Just a washed out shitty version of the original. 0. Sylvester Stallone himself when asked to rate Rocky V out of 10 on the Jonathan Ross show in the UK. He also said Stop or My Mom Will Shoot is the worst movie he's ever done. Apparently Schwarzenegger tricked him into taking the role by pretending to be interested in it. Another piece of trivia. When Estelle Getty found out that the movie would involve guns, she said she would only do the movie if there were no guns. The producers lied, saying there would be no guns in the movie, to get her to sign on. Apparently no one was keen on doing this lol. He even said it was non-canon LMAO. Dragon Ball live action. I actually forgot this existed. Now I wish I hadn't. Silly. You can't forget something existed if it never ever happened in the first place. Ever. Holy. Literal. Namekian head tentacle. F. I absolutely 100% forgot this shit existed until just now. It's like a repressed memory re-emerging. Artemis Fowl and Percy Jackson. Even the author of Percy Jackson, Rick Riordan, described them as his life's work going through a meat grinder. I've read the emails he exchanged with the movie staff when they sent him a draft of the script. You can feel his worry and fear as he pinpoints several key issues in their draft and they changed nothing. The saddest part was when he said to them, please don't sex up my children's story. It's sad, but I've heard that they are doing another adaptation and that Rick is going to direct it. I think that Percy Jackson is finally going to get the adaptation it deserves. I own between 25 and 30 Rick Riordan books. Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus, Magnus Chase, Kane Chronicles, Trials of Apollo filler lore mythology books, a few $100s worth, and years of my childhood was spent reading his work. Watching those movies hurt me inside. Cool that they were recognized, but they didn't do his work justice. Disney's Artemis Fowl. The only thing they took from the books was the title and the names of some characters. Literally everything else was completely made up, has nothing to do with the plot of the books, and is portrayed in a way that would feel condescending to a 5-year-old. Just the trailer was enough for me to realize it was trash as someone that read Artemis Fowl as a kid. Glad I avoided it. I'll make sure to not watch it then. Artemis Fowl was probably my favorite book series growing up and I'd hate for this to ruin it. Lol, the intro scene for Artemis has him surfing like a pro. Artemis Fowl. Surfing. They revealed Butler's name during his introduction and said that he hated being called Butler instead of Domovy or Dom. I closed the site I was watching it on. I got some alcohol and tried to get through it later on. It did not improve. I remember when I was younger reading the books thinking, wow, this would make an awesome movie. Then 2020 comes and they decide to finally make the movie yet not use any material from the book that would have made it awesome. WTF. I have a teacher who worked, as one of many, on writing the screenplay for the film. I never got the chance to ask him more about it, but after seeing this I am feeling the need to interrogate him. Don't do that to the poor man. Don't reopen those old wounds. Welcome to the Aragon book fan base's bag of feelings. Enjoy your stay forever. OMG, I remember that mess. When I was a kid I read those books, so I was excited for the movie. That movie was horrendous. I was so mad. I was like, is this even the book or is it a whole separate movie with the same name? Shut the F up, they never made an Aragon movie. Why is Artemis not a villain? Exactly. He's supposed to be mini Lex Luthor, not Lex Luthor as a child where there might be some childish wonder. No, he's supposed to be about a business conqueror. Slenderman 2018. NGL, a small teeny tiny part of me had a sliver of hope for this movie, especially considering that Slenderman would be the perfect creepypasta character to center a movie around. But no, they effed it up in every way imaginable. Pretty rare for me to turn off a movie once I commit to watching, but I think I made it 20 minutes into West Doco before having to end that experiment. Yeah, eesh. That was bad. Yeah, Donnie Darko was a good film after you watch it a couple times to really understand it. When I heard there was a sequel I jumped to watch it without reading the reviews. Yeah, big mistake. Wait, there was a sequel? Live action Kim Possible. As a diehard KP fan, it's trash. Even if you don't know KP, it's still awful. Begging your pardon. You said there's a live action KP? Yup. A live-action Kim Possible movie aired on Disney Channel a few years ago. It was horrible. If you like the animated series, don't watch it. Jack and Jill swept an entire Golden Razzies one year. For those that don't know, Adam Sandler managed to win Worst Actor and Worst Actress for his performance. That's effing legendary. And some of the Survivor South Africa contestants were forced to sit through it as a reward lol. I consistently get reminded of this movie's existence because it was a reward on Survivor. The team that won the challenge got an exclusive screening and you can just sense the fake laughter. Laugh or we make you eat bugs when the cameras are off. Artemis Fowl. I've seen Shrek 3. I've seen the Percy Jackson movies. I've seen the god-awful Emoji Movie. But this movie is the most rushed, lifeless piece of garbage that I've ever seen. It's so unbelievably bad. It isn't even ironically funny, except for the cases where the CGI design was atrocious. It feels like what happens if you play a game, skip all the cutscenes, and try to recap the story. I pity those who have read the Artemis Fowl books and witnessed how the movie desecrated the story, which seems to be way better than this disaster makes it out to be. Artemis Fowl does one thing really well, put me straight to sleep. I tried to watch it on streaming maybe 3-4 times. Never made it more than 20 minutes before I was out like a light. The part I saw was pretty darkly lit, and completely uninteresting. I might put it on tonight to get a good rest. I read the series as a kid and when the movie released I was so excited to watch it with my family and maybe get my younger siblings to try out the books. I was humiliated and am ashamed of the film. There's an Animorphs movie in the works and this about where I set my expectations. Shrek 3 isn't that bad. Shrek 3 is totally forgettable. For the life of me I cannot remember a single thing that happened after Frog King died. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The Long Haul. Not Maya Roderick. If I'm being completely honest, that movie wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. My friends and I watched it late at night during a sleepover thinking it would make for a good stupid movie to make fun of while we were all tired from staying up. And while it mostly was perfect for that, in terms of actual value it was better than I was expecting it to be. There were a few jokes and moments in it that were legitimately well written and entertaining. That being said though, 90% of it is still overall a really dumb movie that probably shouldn't have been made. It's just the actors don't fit their roles at all. The original trilogy's actors fit perfectly. The Emoji Movie. I've never watched something so soulless. This isn't a joke and I'm not trying to be funny. This is actually the only movie to ever make me fall asleep. I've never seen something so hello fellow kids. I too am hip and cool. How do the writers not know how the cloud works? How do the writers not know what an internet troll is? How do the writers not know that a factory reset can be done in 2 seconds by the phone's user? Have any of these people used a phone or interacted with a teenager in their lives? How do the writers think it's feminist to throw in some trite girl power dialogue then have the stupid boring protagonist guilt trip the female lead into giving up her dream because adding a message about gracefully handling rejection isn't formulaic enough? I am extremely sad you had to endure watching that. And even more sad you were scarred enough to remember the details. The Emoji Movie grossed $86.1 million in the United States and Canada and $131.7 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $217.8 million, against a production budget of $50 million. The studios who fund these movies understand the market very well and take educated bets. They got this one right. Every movie doesn't need to make bank, just significantly more money makers than losers keeps them in the black. If a soulless and vapid movie tests markets above $100 million on a $50 million budget, it's a green light. When my cat died, the next day I wanted to watch something with no soul so we watched that and Boss Baby. Cats, F that movie and the horse it rode in on. My friends and I went in to see Cats armed with alcohol. Had some good laughs, and a fun time mocking it relentlessly. We were the only ones in the theater so we could yell as much as we wanted. Still low-key mad it was the last film I'd ever seen in theaters before the pandemic hit. Release the buttholes cut. I do wish we could get access to the pre-patched version of the movie. Remember when it premiered with unfinished CGI and some suits on the actors were wobbling around? Genuinely sounded nightmarish, and seeing a few clips is almost enough to satisfy my curiosity. Still wish they released that cut on home video, but that'd be expecting them to lean into the memes. Theodore X. The movie Whoopi Goldberg was forced to make. Are bad movies. Nice sub for movies so bad that people actually enjoy them for how bad they are. That said, The Pest with John Leguizamo. I watched it constantly as a kid and recently rewatched it as an adult and goddamn, it was terrible. Still nostalgic though. Highlander 2. There should have been only one. I've deliberated this in my head a lot, but I've decided that Dragon Ball Evolution is the worst movie ever made. A complete mockery and insult to the franchise it is adapting, in addition to just being a horrible movie overall. In fact, I believe one writer even publicly apologized for it. Close second is Disaster Movie. It was supposed to be intentionally bad, but it somehow was still worse than I could have thought. Another contender is The Last Airbender. Same reason as Dragon Ball, but not quite as egregious. A less known bad movie that is maybe not quite zero territory is Skyline. Skyline was so poorly made they ran out of money before they shot the ending, so the actual ending of the movie is a reffin' montage of stills with a couple of main characters blowing up alien brains. Worst movie I've ever seen in theaters, and I saw Wicker Man in theaters. Holmes and Watson. That Will Ferrell movie. It is, to date, the only movie in my life that I have actually walked out of the theater rather than finish. I certainly wasn't expecting anything serious, obviously, but it was just bad. Dead Like Me movie. Show was one of the best things ever. Movie just a fever dream imitation. Battlefield Earth. F Scientology. The Last Airbender. Tried to watch it as a bad movie. Ayla the Room. Samurai Cop etc. and couldn't do it. They were enjoyable. This was not. The Earth King has invited you to Alakaleoke. I am honored to accept his invitation. There is no movie in Ba Sing Se. Fantastic Four. The latest one. I tend to find redeemer features in any film, but this one almost made me leave the cinema halfway into it. We knew it was bad but wasn't expecting that. Fant Four Stick. Son of Mask just no. Now you see me too solely for not calling it Now You Don't. Absolutely unforgivable. 0/10. The Dark Tower. As a fan of the book series, I cringed for the first half and then walked out. Only time I've ever walked out of a movie. The Dark Tower movie was the personification of everything that is wrong. Hollywood executives taking source material that could easily make more money in any format, BT merchandise and franchise shows, and trying to dilute that down into something that your average person could digest in an hour and a half. It's Stephen King who by himself has accounted for some of the best fantasy and horror movies for the past 50 years. His novels. There are generations of built-in fan base that they could have made money on. What's even more baffling is Hollywood's recent obsession with series. Harry Potter was a cultural phenomenon. Lord of the Rings, Twilight, 50 Shades, MCU, Fast and the Furious. They even turned The Hobbit into a 3-movie series. Then they take The Dark Tower and just say F it. One movie loosely based on some of the plot points. Cats. Cats 2019 was the last movie I saw in theaters. I have regrets. I purposely went at 10 AM one day, alone, high out of my goddamn mind to see this movie. It was everything I was afraid of, in an utterly horrible but undeniably outrageous way. Some friends and I had planned to get really high and watch Cats. We were working on the details of what foods to make and bring. Then bam, COVID hit and we still haven't been able to do it. Last Days of American Crime. Worst piece of schmovie I've ever seen. It's actually 5/10. The Dark Tower movie. I've waited my whole life to see it put to film and then I sit through that steaming pile of garbage. They did my boy Idris Elba dirty. Eragon. It a negative. I'm my book. Avatar: The Last Airbender movie adaptation. And Percy Jackson Peter Johnson movie adaptation. Both are so bad that they have been disowned by their fandoms. The first Percy Jackson movie wasn't the worst thing I had ever watched. I'd give it like a 3/10. The Sea of Monsters though, holy F, that movie ruined the franchise on a baffling level. I have no idea what they were thinking. Llamageddon was really bad. It was about a llama that came from space and went on a murderous rampage as it attempted to reproduce and take over the planet. Everyone is listing bad movies, but are they really all 0/10? You want something actually downright unwatchable? Check out Manos, The Hands of Fate. There are movies that are so bad they're fun. Manos is not that. Manos just sucks. Joe Dirt 2. Tom Cruise is the Mummy. I say Tom Cruise is because it's well known he basically took over that whole movie and it ended up such a disaster they had to scrap all their plans for a monster movie universe starring Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man and Angelina Jolie as the Bride of Frankenstein with Javier Bardem as Frankenstein's monster. That's a lot of talent to lose because Tom couldn't help himself. I hated that movie so much. I can't understand the plot of the movie. Heck, I don't understand why would the tomb of a mummified Egyptian princess be located in Iraq? It's like thousands of miles from Egypt. And why would Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde be part of the story? I get that the movie was meant to be the first for the Universal Monster Universe, but I think the director and producers should have followed the original 1930s The Mummy. In fact, the 1999 movie The Mummy did seem to follow the original movie storyline. Reject Tom Cruise. Embrace Brendan Fraser. Catwoman. A movie made with a level of talent matched by no budget Z-grade exploitation films. Its incompetence is staggering. Battlefield Earth.